It rained yesterday. Thank God, we need the rain so bad. So I went and took a hike in the forest. We have a beautiful redwood forest very close to where I live on the way home. And it's an area that was logged a long time ago, as evidenced by this big stump that was cut off. And if you look closely, you can see that there's an area where they put a board in there so they could stand on the board and cut down this tree with a misery whip. It was a big two-man handsaw and axes. And if you look up, you can see a ring of redwood trees, and these all erupted from this old stump. It's a beautiful area. I thoroughly enjoy hiking down here. And I like to pay attention to the woods. I like to really look closely and try to evaluate what's going on. We're nearing the end of the dormancy, and all the maple trees have just about lost all their leaves, which makes for a beautiful hike in the woods. I just love the colors, all the oranges and the yellows. And look at this. There's somebody put graffiti on this log. I just don't understand it. What is it about people that put graffiti on stuff to say, I was here, let me mess up this beautiful piece of nature. Oh, look at that. A newt. They come out in the rain. They were everywhere. I was walking along trails. I was looking at them all over, as are these oyster mushrooms. I felt very fortunate to find some fresh oyster mushrooms. These are the first ones of the year. These are edible mushrooms that I really enjoy. If you look closely there, that's the remnants of an old dam. And a long time ago, this whole area was a mill where they had a big water wheel, and the area was used for actually doing the milling of the lumber. But there's very, very little evidence of that now. This is well over 100 years ago. There's more of those beautiful oyster mushrooms. I picked enough just for my dinner last night because they're all still very small, and I want them to grow bigger. I sure hope another mushroom enthusiast doesn't stumble upon this log, because they'll be gone just like that. Beautiful, beautiful area. Look at that, more graffiti on the rocks. I cannot believe it. It just galls me to see stuff like that. This is cool. If you look across there, you'll see the remains of an old rock wall, and just above it is a road. It's an old logging road. So this is the remains of an old bridge. And a long time ago, they did some pretty heavy-duty logging in this area. I'm back in my truck now and just driving along slowly. I really pay attention to the woods when I drive. I try to see all the different trees and what's going on. And if you look very closely, you can see a few dead trees in here. And the tan oaks are in serious, serious decline in our area. The fir trees are also in trouble. With the redwoods, they seem to be holding up. Thankfully, they're still okay. So earlier in the week, I was asked to look at a large valley oak that had a fruiting body, a mushroom growing off of the wood. This is a latiparous species. It's a common name, chicken of the woods. It is edible, but this one is a bit too old. So I was asked if this tree is safe, and it doesn't take an arborist to recognize that there is considerable decay in this tree. But you have to kind of read beyond the bark. You can see that this area is decayed all the way down. Even though it looks like there's bark there, there's decay underneath it. And it appears that a long time ago, this ripped off, and part of it stayed up here, and it looks like somebody cut it off at one point. But to me, it's pretty decayed in there. So what should you do? Well, is the tree safe? It's a big tree, and at the end of the day, all trees fall down eventually, but if you have a serious weakness and a target, like that house right behind it, maybe you ought to think twice. Oh, check this out. Clearly the road had something to do with this. There is some decay down in there. Wow. down over the creek. This is cool. It'll be interesting to watch this tree to see how many of the roots are still in the ground to support this tree. The foliage up there is still green. This went down about 2 weeks ago. I don't see any browning of the leaves yet, but who knows? It may survive in this state, which would be actually kind of cool. One thing you will not see us doing is pruning and taking care of trees wearing spurs. Climbing hooks, spurs, gaffs, whatever you want to call them, are incredibly damaging to the tree. So quite often we'll get into a tree that somebody else has spurred, and I want to show you what it looks like when somebody goes at it. They'll be positioning themselves, maybe we're exaggerating a little bit here, but every time you gouge into the tree, it just tears it up. Now, why are we spurring this one? Well, it's dead. We're taking it down. So I told Jorge, I said, make a mess. I want to see what it looks like, because so often, you know, especially inexperienced guys, they just, so bad. So we had a couple of redwood trees that we had to get up here and did a light trimming on. We had to get some of these branches that were broken. There was a little bit of clearing. The power company got in there and they did too much. So it was kind of a quick and easy part of this job. I enjoy trimming redwood trees because they're a tall single leader. And once you get up to the top of the tree, it's like a ladder. You know, they're really fun. You get all the way to the top of the tree. Unfortunately, most people over prune redwoods, so they don't need much. So if you get into a redwood, it's just a light job. Clean out the dead wood, sometimes a little bit of thinning, but don't strip out all the branches, and don't shape it, and don't top it. The main purpose of this video is to impress upon you the topic of paying attention. Open your eyes, take a look, go for a hike, go out in the woods, get out and be a part of nature, be a part of this world. It's an amazing place that we live, but you got to get your head out of the computer and get off the phone and get out of the house, get outside. You know, I live in an area where people have great value associated with their trees. You know, not only is it the environment that they build, but it brings in wildlife, it provides screenage, protection from noise. They don't look at their neighbors' houses. It gives them kind of their own little woodland feel. And, you know, there's such a disparity in the way a lot of people believe that their trees are to be taken care of. These people love their tree. It's a pet. There's also so much ignorance. People think that tall trees are dangerous, so quite often they top them. Also, quite often, like in redwoods, for example, which I'm going to show you in a little bit here, people are afraid of really tall redwoods, so they hire somebody to go up and take out every other branch and strip out the branches in the theory, and that's all it is a theory, that the wind blows through the tree and does not create so much of a sail. Well, I want to talk about that. But, you know, we have to learn to respect these trees